David, I thought I had it set perfectly, but no, I don't. Welcome in, latest episode of that SEC podcast. I'm your host, Michael Bratton. Go by SEC Mike on the Twitter machine. And there's Chris Marler, not Cousin Shay, Chris Marler, under the spooky lights. How's it going, brother?
Hey, Cousin Shane, I just want to let you know I finally got out of that sunlight. I moved cities so I could not be around.
Yeah, we're in Atlanta now, right?
Yeah, I just moved yesterday. 1-0 in this house.
Hey, it was actually Cousin Shane that said these guys are never on time. So
I know.
double troll there.
Hey, y'all, what the hell? Oh, Ryan Jackson, come on in. Listen, I want to first and foremost, I have to do this every week. I want to apologize to one fan base. There was Tennessee fans were so upset 2 weeks ago that I had them at 4th and not 3rd. So strap in, guys. You're going to move up a whole spot today, and I'm sure because you guys are joyless, soul-sucking people, it will not be enough for you to create any happiness. But we're here anyway.
Yeah, so we're doing this show because Alabama finally made a buzzer beater instead of getting buzzer beatered. That's why we didn't have it last time, but
that's not why.
Yep. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. But
I want to know if we should do that. Yeah. By the way, I love that Liquid Flames is giving you shit for this because you look like an Uber driver.
Yeah. I just got done with my shift.
Mike must be an AC/DC fan. I love that. I wanted to do the show last week before the game. We agreed to do it on Sunday instead of Saturday because Mike wanted to take an edible. So here we are.
Wait, but and then it was Ghostville on Sunday.
I can see that. I don't remember you texting me, but I could easily see me subconsciously ignoring you.
And I did true or false. I sent you about 6 Tennessee rules, Alabama sucks texts, and then I could tell you were not in the mood.
Mike and I we've known each other for 7 years now, I guess, but we have not always had the strongest friendship because a lot of times Mike only texts me right after Alabama loses. I will say this. I will say that I hear from you the most when right after Bama loses.
Yeah, as should be. And you're getting that a lot more these days, obviously, because it's no longer a dynasty. But all right, let's get into it. How should we break this up? I titled it. I don't even know if you saw. I'm going to predict. I was hoping I could get you to go along with me here. We got the SEC basketball tournament, which Chris said he was going to be at. Now he's not going to be at. That's par for the course there. But
her fault, not mine.
Yeah, let's do power rankings first. And
okay.
I feel like I'm educated enough to where I could tell where you're full of shit and you didn't put in time, and I'll tell you where you're wrong and the ones I agree with.
Yeah, I'm in for that. Well, the regular season's over, so it's easier to figure out where who's where. In a couple places it's different, but I think there's, for the most part, it's pretty fair. I am going to once again tell you that LSU's at the bottom.
Yep. Of course, yeah. That may be the only one I agree with you on.
I would assume South Carolina at 15 would be one you would also agree with. So I would have those two teams there. It's interesting because it's like, you look at the actual the SEC tournament, which we're going to get into in a second. Like you said, there's 13 teams projected in the NCAA tournament right now. Texas is on the outside looking in. If I could move Texas further down, I would, but I can't in good conscience. So they're going to be at 14. But brother, I watched this, like we watched this unfold, right? And Texas comes in with everything in front of them. Everything in front of them. They were firmly in the last four buys, whatever it was, with 5 games to go in this tournament. There were 4 teams that were on the bubble for most of it, but Texas seemed like they were like the team that was most firmly in of the 4. Georgia, Arkansas, Oklahoma. Texas goes on to lose 4 of 5, including a loss at South Carolina, a bad loss to South Carolina. But then they still had, in the last 3 games, they had 2 games at home, which I've said over and over and over again on this show and everything else. The home court advantage this year in college basketball, I know you guys think I don't put a lot of time into this, but the home court advantage for college basketball this year in the SEC finished up. It was 2-11-60. So it was a 77.8 winning percentage for teams at home in the SEC this season. They had 2 of their last 3 games at home, all against unranked teams, obviously. They got blown out by Georgia, and they got blown out. I mean, they didn't get blown out, but they got beat by Oklahoma. And the worst part about that, dude, was that game last night against their arch rival was, all right, everything's on the line. You guys, if you win, you are in the tournament. If you lose, you're out. And Texas comes in, and their star future lottery pick, Trey Johnson, goes nowhere. Like 0 for 14 from the field. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. I don't know that I can add to that, except for they did go on the road, beat Mississippi State recently, did they not?
That was weird. But so that's their only win in their last 5 games. That was shocking.
How about this take from this wild man? Let's see if I can share screen. Okay, here we go. So again, this was some good trolling here. This guy's a troll master. What did he say there? He says, Oklahoma takes a step closer to punching a ticket to March Madness, and Texas takes a step closer to firing its coach. Would you agree with those comments?
I am shocked that he still has a job. Like I'm shocked that he still has a job. Rodney Terry has been
me or the Texas coach?
The Texas coach.
Okay.
It's unbelievable how bad he has been, and it's not even just the fact that you have like unlimited resources. It's not even the fact that like I know that we talk about how great of a state Texas is for football, and maybe not every kid that grows up to be a 4- and 5-star basketball player in that state wants to go to Texas. Maybe they want to go to Houston or Texas Tech or even A&M or whatever. But like, you should still be able to land whoever you want, as was the case this year with Trey Johnson. And like, who's going to be a lottery pick, like I said, like a top 15 pick. And he's been, dude, that kid has been awesome over the past several weeks. And he was nowhere to be found last night. But Rodney Terry, like, dude, I mean, he had it just seemed like they had every opportunity to just limp their way and cakewalk their way into the field. And they did everything but that. It's unbelievable.
Shout out to S. Payne. He says, as an A&M fan, I'll do whatever it takes to get Rodney Terry an extension. That's when you know you got to fire his ass. You know what? Like the lowest tenure of the Butch Jones era, which there was many a lows. Let's not kid ourselves. Was when Tennessee would go on the road every week. It didn't matter if it was South Carolina or Kentucky or Alabama. All the damn fans had on shirts that said, "Keep Butch Jones."
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, I do the Rodney Terry thing is shocking because it's like, I don't know, like Texas fans, and I know we give them a lot of shit, but like it's almost odd. Thank you for that, Liquid Flames. Allie, we got a compliment on your picture frames on the show. So I think what's sad to see for the Texas fan base is like they are an obnoxious bunch, they're an entitled bunch, and they're very arrogant, and that's fine. Like I said this before they ever came to the SEC. That's one of the reasons why both these teams are going to fit in so well in this conference. They think the world revolves around them. They only want to talk about their school, and that's normal. Like that's just like how we all are as fans. But Texas being so like somber and like, what, I don't even know what to do. Like, just, I haven't seen their fans act like this in any other sport, in this very weird, like just defeated mentality because of how bad Rodney Terry has been with this program. Yeah.
And obviously football's much bigger deal, not only for those two schools, but for this show and for all of us, really, I would think, unless you're a Kentucky fan. But it is a little bit of a shame to me, Chris, that Oklahoma, Texas fans currently, I don't even know how many, if any, are going to travel. I'm sure some will, but how many people are actually going to go to the SEC tournament in Nashville this week?
Yeah.
Because again, I don't blame them. I wouldn't go if these were my squads either, but when they finally do have teams that could perhaps win it, I think they're going to experience one hell of a week here in Nashville.
Yeah, agreed. Dude, like, this week more than ever, this is the first time I think I've been super bought in to having the 16 teams in, and because like the tournament's always so much fun, but there's also something like a little bit left to be desired when you talk about like how the first day is Wednesday and it was always like, all right, 14 plays 11 and 12 plays 13, and so it was very bottom of the barrel teams that you really didn't see make a lot of trips even to Friday in that tournament to get to the quarterfinals. But now, dude, we got a full day of basketball from Wednesday to Friday, 4 games in 3 straight days. It's going to be awesome.
Is it true they call you No Shades Marler?
It was such a bad. The sun was just so bad. It was. Hey, half my face. I look like he kept calling me Two-Face from Batman. It was so bad.
All right, who's after the Shorthorns?
Old Shorthorns. I gotta go with Oklahoma, and it almost feels disrespectful to do so because I feel like they've played pretty well. Last couple weeks they beat Mississippi State at home. They have that win on the road yesterday. But they have been better, and I think they're obviously they're now securely. Well, I don't know if they're securely in, but I would probably have them at 13. This is where it kind of gets all mucked up here moving forward because at 12. I mean,
wait, before you move on, it's pretty bad. The reaction I've seen from Oklahoma fans, they're like, some of them are upset their coach won because they're like, shit, now we're going to keep him.
Porter Mosier?
Yeah.
Dude, does he not look like if you got a bad villain to play Brent Venables? Like, that's exactly what I think he would look like. He looks like if Brent Venables was on creatine and his skin wasn't stuck to his bones.
I mean this in the most disrespectful way possible. He looks like a Big 12 coach that nobody ever learns their name because what the hell's the point? And they'll have another one here in a year or two.
He also seems like somebody that would put on their LinkedIn like arm wrestling champ in the Tri-County area, 1998. You're like, hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah, Porter. I was there, brother. I had 23 Busch Lights that day.
Liquid says we call that the Billy Napier effect.
Liquid's awesome, by the way.
Yes,
I haven't seen him in a minute on here. Anyway, after that, I'm probably going to go with Vanderbilt. I've said this before and on here, and it didn't catch any flack because there's not a ton of Vanderbilt fans. But the thing with Vanderbilt is this year, like they've been a fun team to watch. They've what they did when they went on the road. I think it was at A&M a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was A&M when they pulled the upset.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt has been great at home. They haven't been necessarily great on the road, right? 14-3 at home, 3-7 on the road this season. They can't play this game, even though it's in Nashville. They're not playing it at Memorial. So I expect them to have a really good first game against Texas. I would think they might beat Texas. And they're also going to be in the field of 68. But I don't know if I can move them up higher than 12, especially with some of the way other teams around them have closed.
And they've kind of flipped it, right? So they won a big game on the road, and now they're losing at home every damn game.
Yeah.
Marler put Mizzou third on his power rankings. I don't think we've won since, says John.
I think these are takes I've had this year. I said I remember putting in my weekly article for LouisianaSports.net, shameless plug. I said, we gotta rank Georgia now, you cowards. They lost 9 of their next 11. 9 of their next 11. I said that Auburn might be considered, if they continued at the pace they were on, one of the greatest teams of all time. And they have lost their last 2 games. And yeah, I'm sorry, Mizzou. I did not mean to put that energy on you guys. Auburn Mizzou for an SEC championship is very possible. I don't think. I mean, what's his name? Who was the running back that had 900 yards? Trey Mason. He had 900 yards rushing against Mizzou in that 2013 SEC championship. Anyway, so
that was before he went AWOL.
Yeah, that was weird. Okay, up next, we're at 11.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have Arkansas here.
What?
Is that too low?
I mean, their fans are feeling it, man. They have dug up old Calipari takes, which really weren't that old. They're a couple weeks old. But
what were the takes?
Well, I mean, just bashing him relentlessly, myself included. But
maybe that is too low.
I think, if they exit the SEC tournament early, if they exit the NCAA tournament, then that's exactly still on script for Calipari. This is what his teams do. They suck at the beginning.
Right.
They get
always
better and better, and then people start buying in, and then they have an early exit, and they're like, shit. I mean, he did that 8 years in a row. No, I think he had one good year, but 7 out of 8.
It became my least favorite talking point and cliche, for SEC, SEC basketball, because what it ended up turning into was all right, you knew Kentucky always had premier talent, right? They had elite talent, maybe probably more so than anyone else in the country every single year. But it was they got to figure out how to gel and get together. And it's all right, man, it's late February. And you just knew that no matter what their record was, they could have been 20-11 and scratching the surface of a 21 season. It was they're a 3 seed, dude. They've played the tough games. It's they lost by 12. I don't know. anyway, I have a hard time with Arkansas because of this, right? You start SEC play, they lose 5 in a row. They lose 6 of their first 7 SEC play, and they finally start putting some stuff together. And right when you start to think they were going to turn the corner, they lose at A&M, which is understandable, and they lose at Auburn, which is also understandable. They beat Mizzou. They beat Texas. Close games, and they won. I'm having a hard time getting over what happened to them in Colonial Life 2 weeks ago because they went to Columbia, South Carolina, and lost by almost 20. I think they had scored like 14 points or something in the first half. It was something insane. Like, it was really bad. So I'm probably being a little bit unfair and being a prisoner of the moment with what happened to them last Saturday, because they have won 4 of the last 5. And you look at the teams they did against: Mizzou at home, number 25 Mississippi State at home, at Vandy by 13. That's a massive win for this team, especially with what's happening when they were on the bubble trying to get in, going on the road and winning in a place where Tennessee hadn't won, Kentucky hadn't won. I think all those are important. I'm just having a really hard time getting that loss to South Carolina out of my head. So maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm in the wrong about that.
Let me ask this, though. I'll look ahead to the SEC tournament. Is there one fan base that if their team wins, they can, spike it essentially in everybody's faces more than Arkansas fans with Calipari?
No, it'd be awesome. I think it'd be awesome.
Can it be, sorry, I should, could it be, here's the bracket here. Could it be Kentucky, Arkansas? Hell yeah, it could be Kentucky, Arkansas in the final. How about that?
That'd be awesome, dude. There's so many. It's set up so well for great basketball. I'll tell you the best thing. Go back to the thing real quick.
Okay. Don't tell me what to do.
What hold on. Why did that one person say that my hat looks like it's an elephant or Donkey Kong grabbing his balls?
Because it does.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that. Okay, so just look at the bottom, like the second row down for the second round. You have a potential of Texas playing Texas A&M, so rivals that hate each other, and having that be a second round game. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Vanderbilt is going to beat them. Then, if Vanderbilt doesn't beat A&M, which is going to be that'll be interesting because A&M has kind of stumbled down the line, even though they had that huge win against Auburn, and they won yesterday as well. They had who's texting me right now? Is this you texting me? Oh, no. But they had lost 4.
If I wanted to say something to you, I'd just tell you right here. Yeah, I'm right here with you.
I'm sorry for that. So the fact that they have that potential matchup for Texas A&M, and then my favorite thing of the whole bracket, Mike, and I'm not even saying this to be a dick, but getting A&M and Tennessee to face each other that early to get that brand of basketball out of the way. Like, I don't want to see both of those teams go deep in the tournament. I aesthetically speaking, it's not fun basketball for a lot of people to watch. It's really good basketball, and they're really good teams, but it's not the most enjoyable game offensively, especially for Tennessee to watch those games. So I'm glad that's happening. But dude, there's great matchups all over. Arkansas going into Ole Miss in the second round. Arkansas, like if Arkansas makes a run, it would not be the most surprising thing in the world, especially with who's in front of them. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we're gonna break it down. So you just jumped ahead 20 minutes here, but all right. So who's next to the power rankings, you bastard?
I want to talk about football season real quick. Okay, let me tell you about who's gonna win the SEC tournament in 2027. So I do think for next, we had Vanderbilt right there, right? Sorry, we had Arkansas. I know this is going to be stupid, and I'm going to get dragged for it, but that's what happens every single fucking time on this show.
Yeah, so, perfect.
At least I'm used to it.
Staying on brand.
I'm going to put Mississippi State ahead of Arkansas. I know they lost to them by 1, but that's who I would have in front of them. And I tell you what, the hotter take and you could argue the worst take between that is not that I have Mississippi State ahead of Arkansas. It's that I have them behind the next team, which is Georgia. Because Georgia's on fire.
Are they? They beat Florida, right?
They beat Florida.
They barely beat, who was it, Vanderbilt yesterday?
Wrong. Well, no, they beat them by 11. So here's the thing. They beat Florida.
That's less than 2 touchdowns. Come on. The spread was 36.
Kirby was pissed. The defense gave up 68 points. So here's the thing, Marlon. What did I do? Did I mess up? So
typical.
I think. Sorry, Dad. So I think the thing is this: Georgia's won 4 games in a row. It's hard for me to get we're heading into the part where you have to win every game or the season's over. So winning that many in a row is important. All right, Proto Bag.
Everybody hates that hat. So you got to get rid of it. You know,
Mike Andrews brings up a good point. He says, so they beat them, but they're ranked below them. I get what you're saying.
They don't know how rankings work, Chris.
Hold on. They beat them at home. That's the last home game you're going to play. You beat them by 1 point. So I do think Mississippi State is probably in the long run going into postseason play a better team than Arkansas. They have definitely been a better team than them throughout most of the season. That's the reason why there's a number on the left side of their name as well as the right when you look at the final score, because that's a ranking that's on their name, and it'll be there for at least 12 more hours because they're going to not be ranked tomorrow.
Yeah. So you're just doing this list for clicks that you don't even get.
That's
you bastard. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate those clicks.
If anybody wants to know the actual truth about this, it should not have taken this long to figure out. Anybody that has seen me do a show before knows I am not saying anything. So you guys come into my comments on multiple platforms and tell me how stupid I am on a weekly basis. It hurts my feelings every time. So I don't want that at all. All right. So Georgia, I have them there. Here's the thing about Georgia. Not only they beat Florida, granted it was at home, but they beat the number 3 team in the country at the time. I think they're a top 5 team now. Florida may very well be the best team in the country still, but they beat Florida. Then they won their other 3 games by nearly 12 points per game to close out the season. Like they won their last 3 games by an average of 11 points. They went to Texas, and that was a game, Mike, that was Georgia was the last team in, and Texas was the first team out, or vice versa. That was 2 Saturdays ago. Mm-hmm. That's a massive showdown, and they just absolutely, hate to use this pun, but dog walked them. Like they were up by 28 at one point. So I would have Georgia there ahead of them.
Now, is it fair to say, not that we're about to predict it here?
Yeah.
Not saying that we're predicting this, but those 3 teams specifically, Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Georgia, maybe not winning the SEC tournament because that's going to take a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
But would you be stunned if any 3 of those teams made a run to the SEC tournament final?
For what do you mean? For Arkansas, Vandy, and
no. Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Georgia.
I would be surprised, but not because
but stunned. How about stunned was the question?
I would be stunned, not because they're not good enough, but if you just look at the bracket, dude, all 3 of those teams have to play the first day. I mean, that's such a gauntlet to have to go through. I mean, that is. I mean, listen. Let's look at Mississippi State's. If Mississippi State beats LSU, which they will, they have the easiest start to something, right? If they beat them, then they got to go play Missouri. Easy. Then they would have to play Florida. Then they would have to most likely play Kentucky or Bama. And then, oh, by the way,
cakewalk.
Yeah. Man, a cakewalk sounds good. Have you been to a bake sale at all? I feel like we're not doing enough bake sales anymore.
That's exactly where I was taking you if you were going to show up to Nashville here, but you bailed.
That's very true. Anyway, that's where you're going to take me was a bake sale. We're going to dinner, Mike. I heard there's a really good barbecue spot. No, I'm taking you to the best bake sale at an elementary school outside the city.
Who's next on your bracket here?
All right, so this one, I don't like this pick, but this is where they technically belong, especially with like the way the rankings are. I would have Ole Miss.
Oh,
Ole Miss they finished 10-8.
Just beat Tennessee.
They just beat Tennessee. That was wild. They got $500,000 in fines, which equated to like $50,000 per student that rushed the court. Some poor 11-year-old just cost his favorite school their next big recruit in NIL. It was terrible. I would have Ole Miss there. I think Ole Miss is. I don't think I'm wrong saying this.
Didn't State sweep Ole Miss?
Mississippi State did, yeah, and they have them 2 spots behind. That's why this pick sucks.
What the hell?
But they also finished 10-8 in SEC play, and Mississippi State finished 8-10. So even with the 2 wins, they still finished 2 games behind them in the SEC. Like that's Ole Miss is the least sexy team in the entire conference. Name me one Ole Miss player.
Headband.
Yes, Padula. That's not him, but yeah. You're talking about Marshall Mathers, who was there years ago. No, but like they don't do anything that is like it's not like, oh, they're at Kentucky, they can go score 88 points a game and they're in the top 10 nationally. Like they play very good fundamental basketball. They don't really cost themselves a lot of games. They don't like lose. They don't have any really bad losses. But outside of Tennessee, they don't really have any great wins. They have 3 wins over ranked opponents this year, which is, I think it's like the 3rd lowest in the conference all season. But so yeah, they're 3-8 against ranked teams. That's the 3rd fewest in the conference this season. But it's hard to argue against going 10-8 in this season or in this SEC regular season.
Oh, I thought of an Ole Miss player, Junkins.
Quinchon. Yeah, so that's actually what happened to my hair, Mike, with the sun. Half of it is just blonde.
All right, who you got next, Two-Face?
I would say Mizzou.
Oh,
I am shocked that they're dropped this far, but I feel like it's probably fair.
They have fallen to pieces, haven't they?
They have. I mean, they're still really good. It's also here's the other thing too. It's so easy to look up and see the box scores and the winning streak or losing streak. Like Missouri's lost 3 in a row since I was like, they're the best team in the country. They are really, really good. And that game yesterday was tough because you're playing at home. Listen, they were 18-1 at home going into yesterday. They still finished with like a 900 winning percentage on the year, right? 18-2 on the year. Phenomenal year for them. But there are some concerns when you talk about the way they close out the season. And I think beating Kentucky is not super easy. Obviously, it's a top 20 team. It's a top 20 matchup they had yesterday. But getting them at home, and for the most part in the second half, you're down by double digits. You really couldn't claw your way back in. And for a team that prides themselves on being really pretty physical, down low especially, and then being just like shooting the ball really well from 3, it was shocking that they weren't really make a dent in that because of how well Kentucky played.
Hey, Frank's got another Ole Miss player.
I'm not engaging in this.
I'm not saying it either, but there you go.
Oh, you know what? I will say one thing.
I was trying to trap you. I was trying to trap you into getting sued. Don't come at me, guys. You can follow him and sue him. There's his name right there.
Nobody knows any of that stuff that happened, and it took one day for that girl's life to be ruined because of idiots on Twitter thinking it's funny. It's like I don't think it's funny. Are you wearing a tampon right now? Dude, that girl's life was ruined. That's unbelievable. And so is the guy's.
I'm sure she'll be fine. I don't even know who she is. All right, who's next there?
Oh, Frank thinks ketchup is too spicy. Okay, who is next? Kentucky. I would have Kentucky next.
Look what Brodo's.
Yeah, because none of it was real, dude. That's why. Anyway, yeah, it's also crazy to me that that whole thing happened with her real name and his real name doxing him by a bunch of people that were named like Quinshon Junkins Burner. And you're like, oh, Pepper just too.
Well, they made allegations against that man as well.
Yeah. All right, I have Kentucky next. It's hard
Kentucky's gonna win the whole damn thing.
What? In what sport?
Football.
Yeah. By the way, pansy spelled with an S, you dumbass. Fucking moron. Pansy ass. Anyway, so I hope that guy, if he ever does get married, which I'm sure he won't, since it's named after a fucking Disney ride at Magic Kingdom. I hope that you spelled douche wrong too, you moron. So I hope you never have a daughter, but that would probably involve you having sex with someone, which would probably never happen either. Anyway, Kentucky's at 6, A&M's at 5. You could probably flip-flop those two the way that they came down the stretch. I mean, A&M, they lost 4 games in a row. They looked really bad doing it. They had Tennessee at home, couldn't get that win. They had Vanderbilt at home, couldn't get that win. Beating Auburn at home is a big deal. Auburn was without a starter in that game for sure, but they were able to get off like getting off of a 4-game losing streak against the number 1 team in the country for your first ever number 1 win or win over number 1 in program history. That's unbelievable. So I would have to. That gives them like a leg up on Kentucky in my book. I would probably have them at 5 ahead of Kentucky.
Well, couldn't you also argue that Auburn had just clinched, right? And it was A&M senior night. So, I mean, there was a lot of factors in A&M's favor and a lot against Auburn.
Yeah. I mean, right. But also, like, you had lost 4 games in a row. You couldn't beat Vandy at home. You couldn't beat, like, the Tennessee, not beating Tennessee at home is one thing. But losing 4 games in a row the way they did, here, we'll pull it up real quick, see who's against. Because, like, those two are the ones that stand out the most. At Mississippi State, and it wasn't like you just lost at Mississippi State. You lost by 16 at Mississippi State. Then you had Tennessee at home. You lost by 8. You had Vanderbilt at home, which is like that was the one you just kind of assumed. Africa. You kind of assumed they would get off the schneid there. They lose at home to Vandy. And then you go at Florida. And I don't think anyone expected them to beat Florida, even though it was a top 15 matchup. They lost by 19, though. So, like, they were reeling, and they needed a win in the worst way possible because LSU was always going to be a dub. But, like, to beat Auburn, I think is a big deal. So I would have them at 5. I would be fine having them at 6 either way. So – yeah, man, that's a good point, Sam Thomas. I do that. I make sure it's okay if I touch somebody. That's crazy.
I can confirm he doesn't.
Yeah. the weirdest, like, oh, alpha. Sick, brother. And again, if you're named after a fucking ride at Disney World, I'm having a hard time believing the alpha part. Anyway, so 4, I am going to put. Are you ready?
Don't do it.
I'm putting Bama at 4.
Okay.
Huge win yesterday.
Got lucky, right? Auburn player got ejected unfairly.
Yeah, because he elbowed that guy in the back of the head.
He didn't mean to.
No, of course not. He would never. The thing about that sucked was he's never been in trouble before. It's like that was his first time ever being in trouble. So that was tough. Anyway.
How loud were you screaming at the television when that happened?
I mean, I think I moved in an hour and a half before, and I thought I was going to have to leave right then.
So you weren't allowed to. I got you. But if you were allowed, you would have.
No, I still yelled for sure. I mean, like, listen, I like Chad Baker-Mazara a lot. I like. It's so funny that I think it's so funny that, like, the people that think like, oh, he needs to go get a job. But it's like, do you guys remember college? Like, do you remember how much fun college was? Like, why would you want to leave college? Like, to go get a real. You want to go work at Enterprise Rent-A-Car because they give you the tools to be your own boss? Like, that's what you want to do? You want to work 65 hours a week for $40,000 instead of like an Acura because it's like an almost nice car? No. Let him stay in college for as long as he can. Anyway, I would put Bama there. The win at Auburn is huge. It wasn't overtime. It was obviously Auburn was down a player, even though it was their own fault. But I will say the impressive part from Bama was they were able to get that many points against a really good Auburn team in a place where Auburn's been kind of unbeatable over the last several years. I know they got knocked off this year against Florida by double digits, but that place has been very difficult for opposing teams to go in there.
Frank says Grant Nilsson should sue his barber for negligence.
Don't think he's wrong. That is such a bad look. But I will say that being able to get 91 points or 93 points, whatever the final was, on Auburn in a game where Mark Sears was really bad. Like, he had averaged 28 and a half, I think, 28 points per game. And 28 points per game in his last like 5 or 6 SEC games, which was incredible. He was not at his best at all, but to hit that shot was huge. It almost makes you think, Mike, maybe the week before in the same situation, maybe LeBaron Philon hands off the ball to Mark Sears and lets him take the final shot, or they even just get a shot off. Who knows?
That'd be nice.
It would have been nice. So I would have them at 4 for now. And here's the scariest part about this league. Well, we'll talk about the SEC standings or the SEC tournament. 3, I don't feel like this is a negative thing. Oh,
but you're going to be negative anyway, huh?
No, I'm not. I'm going to be positive. I think Tennessee is the 3rd best team in the SEC right now. They are now let's be very clear, Mike. They are a 4 seed in the tournament. They finished the season as the 4th best team after playing 18 games to find out who the best teams were. They finished behind Alabama. I would have them ahead of Alabama in terms of power rankings. Is that fair, or am I going to get fucking doxxed on the internet from like bigballs.inyourmouth.com?
You deserve it, but no, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
But Tennessee continues to show that, that I think they're capable of beating anybody. I think they're capable of, just like was it last year, going not even winning a damn game in the SEC, or hell, even they'll win games in the NCAA tournament because they'll probably be a 2 seed. But
yeah,
I don't know if the offense isn't there. They're very beatable.
The thing that with Tennessee is that makes them so difficult is that they have a really good. Like if Bama's off and can't hit threes, or Missouri's off and can't hit from the outside, or Kentucky's off and they're not able to score, something like that, like, upwards of 80 points or whatever, like they've averaged for most of the season. If that happens, those teams are beat. Like if Bama goes 5 of 21 from 3, like they did against Auburn a couple weeks ago in Tuscaloosa, they're beat. Tennessee is able to drag you down into the mud with them and be able to, like, if they only score 55, there's still a good chance that they're only going to hold you to 51. Like they are a really good defensive team.
Yeah, and not to be that guy, but the ref guy, they could get fucked in either tournament, but specifically the NCAA, if refs are being ticky-tack about these fouls because they don't have a deep bench.
That is the scariest part of SEC teams. I don't know if you saw this a couple of weeks ago. There was the assistant, the assistant executive director or whatever, to Greg Sankey in the SEC. He said that they have been already reaching out to SEC teams to talk to them about getting ready for the tournament, because the way that calls or games are called and officiated in the SEC is going to be different than it is in the tournament. I remember doing this deep dive last year, looking at like the calls per regional, or the first and second round in the NCAA tournament. So I went through every single game, like 32 games in the first week of the NCAA tournament, that Thursday and Friday, to figure out, or Thursday through Sunday, of like, all right, here's how many like fouls were called per game in each regional. Because I remember looking at it, Bama and Auburn were in Spokane, and it just was crazy how many fouls were happening in those two games. And in that regional, it was Bama, Auburn, I believe one other SEC team. They averaged over 41 fouls per game, which was 7.5 more than any other regional in the country last year. And it cost Auburn early.
Yeah. No doubt. That's a hell of a story. All right, who's number 2? This is where we're getting crazy with it.
I'm going to put Auburn at 2. I know. So here's the thing.
I was ready to go in on you, but I think you got it right.
So thanks, man. That's a nice thing you've ever said to me. So here's the thing with Auburn. Auburn is still have the best resume of any team in the SEC. Auburn is, I still think, even like a couple weeks ago I said this and people thought I was crazy then, and maybe I'm way off base with it now. But when you look at their quad 1 wins, hold on, let me pull this up real quick. You look at their quad 1 wins, because it was upward. I think it was at 16 a couple weeks ago. They're 16-4 in quad 1 wins. That's 9 more than Duke has, right? Like they've had.
Are you getting these numbers off Jimmy Dyke's Twitter feed?
That motherfucker. So because
that guy knows his stuff. Let me tell you,
that guy knows his ball, and so does that one Kentucky fan with 400 more followers than me that had a viral post of my own graphic. No, so I think the thing with Auburn is 16 quad 1 wins is one off the record all time. There was a chance there was a chance before this week that they could get to 20 in the regular season, because what's going to happen next week in Nashville, not regular season, but before the tournament. And then the closing of the season, they lost to Texas A&M, they lost to Bama. So they're like, they've lost 2 games in a row. Winning in College Station isn't the easiest. That game yesterday against Bama, which is, let's also be clear, that is the premier rivalry in college basketball right now. It's not UNC Duke. It's not anything else. That is the premier rivalry in all of college basketball right now because of how good those two teams are.
Tennessee and South Carolina?
What?
Tennessee and South Carolina?
No, Bama, Auburn, dummy.
Okay.
But I think that you have. I think when you look at I've said this over and over. I tweeted it out today earlier, getting ready for the show. I still feel confident in saying this. I said it 5 weeks ago. I still feel confident now. Auburn, I think, has the best resume of any team in the country. I think that's completely fair. I think Alabama, top to bottom, not just starters or star power in the starting five, they have the best roster and the most talented team in the entire country. I say both of those things to also say, I think Florida, who is number one in this week's power rankings, they could very well be the best team in the country. They bludgeon people, man. Like, you saw what they did at Bama. Condon was unstoppable. He was awesome. He was just awesome. That annoyed the shit out of me watching it. I'll tell you that as the person who's wearing this hat. But they were awesome. And here's another scary part too, is like they're starting to put together where multiple guys are getting involved. So it's not just Condon or Clayton or even now Richards has come along where he was taken off over like the last 3 or 4 games where I think he had like 15 plus points in each of them. I know he averaged over that. They are starting to show some of the depth that they have. They hadn't showed as much throughout the year and really haven't needed to because they've been so dominant, but they are good, man. They are good.
Now, I hate to be this guy too.
Yeah.
Because I love the SEC tournament. I think it's a fantastic event.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, if your goal is to win the national championship, which clearly that is the goal right now at Auburn, if that's the goal, and Broome, I don't even know if he's injured, but there's been reports, speculation that he's a little limited. If he is limited at all, could you see a scenario where they rest him for the SEC tournament?
No, I can't. They might limit some minutes for him early on, but here's the thing too that's scary about the SEC tournament versus Auburn. Auburn will most likely have a better opportunity to rest Johni Broome in the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament than they will in the SEC tournament. The competition they're going to have, and you have to think about this too, the way that it's set up for the actual tournament itself, like it's good that they get to wait till Friday. That shoulder problem isn't going to go away. Like it might be better by Friday, but playing 3 games back to back is obviously going to take a toll on him, especially the position he plays and how much like physical. I don't think he asks before he hugs somebody or bumps into him, but he's going to be there's a lot of physical contact down there. I think the thing that's tougher for this situation, the SEC tournament versus the national tournament, is by the time they play their first game on Friday, they're going to get Arkansas, Ole Miss, or South Carolina, which means they'll probably get Arkansas or Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is much easier than Bucknell or whoever they're going to play in the first round of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. Hey, that's fair. That's what we have you on as the genius analyst here. All right, so let's break it down. Let's make our picks. Are you prepared to do that? And if you're wrong about any of these, may God have mercy on your soul. You know what?
The only time I've ever got this right was 2019. I picked Auburn to win the SEC tournament and then go to the Final Four. We worked at SDS at the time, so they didn't give a shit. So it was just like, did you see what Connor said about the backup quarterback at Arkansas? No. So I think looking at if you want me to go through the whole bracket, I think Arkansas beats Carolina.
Wait. Yeah, that's fair. I like Arkansas too.
I think Ole Miss probably beats Arkansas. It's
wait. No, you're going too far. We got to do all the first round games.
Oh, okay. That's hard. Okay. I got Vandy over Texas.
That's bold. They're fighting for their coach's life. Come on.
I don't think they're doing much fighting. If you make a bad pick, I will. Frank rules. All right, Mississippi State over LSU, and I tell you what, if you're betting on a game, put every bit of money you have on that one. That's the one. It won't be a low. The money line will be pretty high on that, but I would take it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take Georgia over Oklahoma. I think it's going to be a sneaky good game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then in the second round, we'd have Arkansas, Ole Miss. That's a really good game, and I'm taking Arkansas.
I like that pick. I'm going to take Ole Miss, but I really like that pick. Arkansas is a little bit banged up.
All right, Vanderbilt, A&M. I got to lean A&M on that one.
I'm going to take Vanderbilt.
Is Pavia playing? You like Vanderbilt to march on to the quarters?
I do. Yeah.
Pavia is really not playing. You know that, right?
Yo, he's fucking turned though. So
okay, Mississippi State, Missouri.
I'll take Missouri. Missouri's a much more physical team than people think. I will say this though. This is what I'm hoping will happen. I've been hoping this for about a month and a half. I hope we get Steph Curry NCAA tournament version of Josh Hubbard. I hope Hubbard is awesome. And if he is, it would be great to see them go like make it, what do you call it, like a deep run either here or make it to the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. So that's what I'm hoping for. But yeah, I would take Mississippi State over LSU, but I think Missouri is the better team, even though kind of faltering towards the end of the season. I would have them over Mississippi State. Yeah,
they got to get their confidence right. All right, Georgia, Kentucky. Now I think that's a tricky game, but I think I'd have to go Kentucky.
I want to pick Georgia so bad in this because I love how they're playing right now. Geez Louise is also awesome. I want to pick Georgia so bad in this game because I think they're playing better basketball over the last 4 games to close. I just told you about the fact that they not only beat Florida, but they also had their other 3 wins were by an average of 11 or more points. I love all that. We know for certain, and you know this better than anyone living in Nashville, we know for certain Kentucky fans are going to travel, and that will be as close to a home game as you can get for Kentucky in Nashville. So I will take Kentucky over Georgia, even though I don't love it.
And then Arkansas, Auburn. I'll go Auburn, of course, but you got Ole Miss. So Ole Miss, Auburn. Who do you like in that matchup?
I like Auburn.
Okay, and then you got Vandy against Tennessee. You bastard! I got A&M over Tennessee. Give me You've got to pick Tennessee. Don't.
I don't have to do anything for Tennessee.
Don't be clickbait, Marler.
I don't have to. I don't get anything out of these clicks. No, I'll take Tennessee over Vandy, but I would be, buddy. The way I was holding my phone when Alabama was up 4, it with 36 seconds to go, just ready to go in on so many Tennessee fans that were mad at me about my power rankings. Man. So I will.
Man, I'm so sorry you didn't get that opportunity, man.
I know you are.
That breaks my heart.
I'll take Tennessee over Vandy.
Well, Vandy, Tennessee, that was a split series this year, right?
But Vandy beat them at home in Memorial too. So
right.
Mizzou, Florida.
Mizzou, Florida. Damn, that could be a hell of a game. But Missouri whipped Florida's ass, didn't they?
They beat them by 1 point at Florida.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Whoop that ass. Yeah, Florida's going to kill them, though, in this one.
Yeah.
Kentucky, Alabama. Oh, where are you going there?
I'll take Bama.
I'm going Kentucky. Upset City, baby.
They're 0-2 against them so far, and they've given up like 1,000 points in the 2 games combined.
Third time's a charm. Okay, then we got Auburn, Tennessee.
I got Auburn.
Tennessee, come on down.
Dude, I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised if they did because it was a really good game the first time they played. It's on a neutral site, but it will be much more. Actually, you know what? Like, it'll be interesting because Auburn fans travel really, really well for basketball. So that'll be a really fun environment, I think, where you'll get the closest thing to like 50-50, not 50-50 maybe, but like you'll have like a lot of fans from each team there. It won't be overwhelming for one side, but I will take Auburn to beat Tennessee, and then in the bottom one with Florida.
Wait, not all Auburn. I've been waiting. I've been sitting on this comment. You said Auburn fans travel. That's not all Auburn fans, apparently. All right, we got Florida versus Kentucky. In my opinion, you got it. Florida, Alabama. Yeah, I still like Florida, regardless of who they're playing. If it's Florida, Alabama, where would you lean there?
If it was Florida versus the 93 Bulls. Not 96, but 93. I would have Florida over them right now. So I would take Florida. And
so in the championship, then you got Auburn, Florida.
Yeah, super chalky.
Yeah. Way to go out on a limb here, you crazy bastard. I like Tennessee, Florida, and I'll lean Florida. I think they're going to win the whole damn SEC.
I do too.
So you man, Auburn goes all the way to the final and loses to Florida. Rematch city.
Yeah.
That's just a clickbait take right there.
It's not, but I tell you what, Mike, I love you to death, and this has been a great show. I am getting a very bad look right now, so I gotta go.
Hey, don't blame me. Blame Space Mountain.
Space Mountain just showed up at my door. So.
All right, buddy. Hey, we appreciate you. I was going to ask you to tell people how to follow you. Not that they want to do that, but it's on the screen already. So hope to see you not in Nashville, but sometime.
I'll see you soon.
I don't think you will.
See you, brother.
Hey, buddy, this beer's for you, Mike, and Cousin Shane. That SEC podcast loves the Pirate, and the Pirate loves that SEC podcast. Hail State.